I was the most
Silent.
guy in the team. And when I was approached to be the captain, I asked for time because I needed to think about it.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, viewers from wherever you're watching us from. It's your host here at Wima Sports, championing sports development, and we are at SOYA Lodge, indeed, where guests become family. Speaking of guests, today we have a great, amazing guest who has been able to impact rugby in this nation in one way or the other, and he's a great sports personality. And karibu sana.
Asante sana, Jamie.
Yes.
Such a sana to having me here. I think this is the first time I'm here. Sindio?
Yes.
Yeah, asante. Shukran.
Karibu sana. And there's a statement that I see in you.
Yeah.
And victory is not achieved instantly, but it is achieved definitely.
Yes.
You've journeyed through rugby, you've journeyed through sports. And how will you define victory?
I think for me, victory is not just the outcome of winning something or getting something out of it. It's the moment that you put the hard work on it, the sacrifices that you put, and you go out and do your best and get satisfied. I think that's victory for me. That's how I define my victory.
What are some of your victories in life this far?
So I've been able to, let me say I've been blessed because it's not been an easy journey for me just to be able to come into sports and do my thing in sports and to be able to achieve something for this country. It's something I call a big victory for me to be able to just put on the Kenyan colors in a different sport that I didn't play in high school, on a sport that I was not introduced at an early age. To come out, work very hard, and to get myself into the national team and also win big medals for the country. Yeah.
So when did you discover sports growing up? The first time you discovered sports?
So I was lucky enough to grow up in an estate where sport was being enhanced. So my first sports as a Amonde, I started as a soccer player because from where I used to live, everybody used to play soccer in the estates, in the schools. So I was more into soccer, and that's where I also got some of my nicknames. So I used to play soccer in the estates, and when I kept on growing, I kept on learning new sports. So the ability to just do sport and the spirit of sportsman started in the estate.
Yeah. So you played soccer. Any other games you played with your siblings maybe growing up?
So it was more soccer and more of the childhood games, the bani, the tipo, the rounders. So I think we were a generation that was more of an outside generation compared to the generation of today that are more of internet and more of entertainment. So I was lucky to come from that generation that there were a lot of things that were being done outdoors. So I think that built my sporting career.
You played the track?
Yeah, exactly. People, the marbles. So exactly. Those are the games that were there at that time. So we were very involved, and they build characters on somebody. You can see when somebody plays with a player who is dedicated on some of the things. So they learn not to lose. So that builds their character. When you get that definition of not wanting to lose even in banter, you're playing marbles, but you're very competitive on it. So it builds out something in sports in you.
Yeah. So at what point did you now start engaging in active sports?
So I think my active sports came in when I got into high school. So that's when competition got real. So when we were playing in high school, you could see competing against for other schools. So the competition was very high. So it built that character that you wanted to win more. And there was competition, and you could see there were many talented in the school. So before you could even make the school team, so you have to work very hard. You have to raise up your hand. So I think that is when we realized, hey, we are really in sports, and sports, they only pick the best. So you have to be the best to be able to get into a school team or to represent school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that time in high school, did you have any siblings at home who were also engaging in active sports?
Exactly. So when I used to play for my school in some boys, I used to play basketball. My younger brother who follows me used to play for what's the name? The school between Maseno and some boys. Chulaimbo. My younger brother used to be in Chulaimbo, and he also used to play basketball. I remember an incident. We were in the Ogeta Cup Open. We were playing against them. My mom came to support us. So we were playing against my younger brother. So I heard my mom screaming, hey, leave me when I need to score. So I thought that I could even give my younger brother a chance to score. We were already putting a lot of points on them. So that is also built me to be somebody else, from knowing to be able to compete with the younger brother, the same capacity, and to enjoy the moment.
How was it when you got back home together? Like, did you guys play some one-on-ones, competitions? Or?
It was fun growing up with a brother who's not much younger, but a little bit the same age as me, because we have a different year. So we could be opponents at sometimes, and we could be playing the same team, because we had a very good understanding of each other. So we loved each other, and we could compete as young brothers and be very grateful about the competition and just enjoy the moment. Yeah.
So, at high school is when athletes or get to discover or get to realize something, or build some skills that you transcend with to the next level.
Yes.
What are some of the things, looking back to high school, that you can say it really impacted your current game or the levels that God enabled you to reach?
I think one thing that I came to understand from high school is the mental part of it, of the sport. It's not easy, and you won't get everything to hard to be able just to compete. Most of the things as an athlete, you have to go out of your way to find them and to be able to get yourself better to compete, or to put yourself out there to be selected to be somewhere. So that is something that I picked from school, and it's something that has come to help me so much when I got into the national and to the club level. Because waiting for the club just to offer you everything, for you to be able to get yourself better to compete, is something not easy. Because in high school, you'll be competing with only the 2 hours training that you have in the game style. So that's not good enough for you to be able to get yourself to be that athlete, the intended athlete that you want to be. So the extra work you are able to put, the extra thing, like the gyms, don't have gyms in high school. So the gyms that you're able to get yourself into, we provide you the basics that you're able to be. The same thing with some of the clubs that we have now. They don't provide everything. They don't provide the gym, the time. There's not that time because it's an amateur setup at the club level. So the extras that you're able to put yourself, the sacrifices you're able to make to get yourself into a gym, get yourself into the high level of competition, will also be able to assist you make yourself a better player. Yeah.
There's something you talked about, as athletes of, that time.
Yeah.
There is that sense of, being an outdoor child growing up and everything. You get to discover things, you get to figure out things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you don't have this sense of entitlement that, most athletes have now.
Yes.
That, no, I'm in a club, I'm entitled to have this.
Yes.
What impact do you think that you can tell to, the younger generation in regards to sense of entitlement instead of figuring out to get the job done?
I think the biggest thing for us, when you are young and you're competing for everything, even competing for playing space, it also builds you. Nothing comes easy. Everybody feels entitled on something. There is somebody who has not gone through life, because life, you learn from your parents, you learn from your neighborhood, from your environment. So environment played a very big role for us. We came to understand there's a time that we need to balance things. There's a time that you need to cut loose of some of the things that you do to be able to accommodate some other people. And you have to be able to accommodate and find yourself fitting into an environment where you are liked or you're not liked. Somewhere you are top and somewhere you are low. Because I remember when I got to high school, I was very high in football. I thought I would play soccer, but I ended up not even playing soccer in high school. So those are the things that you have to build yourself. I had to start from zero, learning a new sports, learning new skills. So I think it's just a matter of mental thing that I knew that I needed to learn better on what I needed to do.
So you finished high school, getting into out of high school. Yes. What was your mentality leaving high school even before you discovered rugby?
I think before I left high school, I was already set for sports. Because from when I cleared in 2003, I'd already been picked up to go there for Lindsay handball. So it was a big thing for me just to finish school and see what I was going to do next in my life. So when remember that time when you had cleared school, you'd stay home for 2 years. So in those 2 years, I came and fell in love with a different sport. So the biggest thing for me was just to learn. So when I was picked to go and play for Lindsay, already set and was already focused on coming to Nairobi and joining the Langata Bay's handball team. So by the time everything changed, within that 2 years, I'd already fallen in love with a different game. And then I found myself learning new things. I fell in love with it, and I've never changed since that time. That's the game that I've called up on and I've presented in the country at the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at that point, you were at the most toughest point, most
Exactly.
human beings would be.
Yeah.
Because in 2 years, there's a sport that is already offering opportunity for you to excel.
Yeah.
Ulinzi, you got be a soldier or do what and excel in it.
Yeah.
But now again, you're discovering, no.
There's something I like again.
Something I like.
Yeah.
How was it making that decision for you at that point?
Because I was still young, because, when you're still young, you have those opportunities in your hands. You can always choose on what you're meant to do. So when I started playing rugby, my first time in the field, there was a lot of encouragement from the guys I got from Kisumu. It was from my physique. I was a little bit lanky, but I was fast because I could run 200 meters and 100 meters. I was a little bit lanky, and the first thing the coach saw me when my mates took me to the grounds, you guy, you look like somebody who can excel in this game. His exact words. If you just put an effort and learn a few things in this sport, I promise you within a few time, you'll be playing in the national team. The same words that guy told me. Just put on a little hard work and learn this sport. You have the body, you have like the skill, because I was a basketballer, you could do the dummy, you could still pass. I was good with the ball in the hand, so he told me that I needed just to tweak a few things on my league and I'll be playing the top league with everyone, because from the physique, I could go to the gym, I was a bit strong, I was fast. So the biggest thing for him that I was very fast.
Yeah.
And from my physique, he could not see me running that fast. So that's how he just told me, if you stay a little bit here, you see the big difference that your life will be. So having an opportunity and had something that was going on, it was a 50-50 thing. My dad kept on advising me to pick up the Ulinzi job. It was a sure job. You're going to get a job. You're going to get a future out of it. I think my instincts just kept me, let me try this sport. Because I used to see it in the nationals, because we used to go to the national, we could support Yana, we support Maseno. So there's a little bit interest in it, because I could go and watch them play. So why could I? Because I could see myself doing it, because I was more a physical player, and rugby could support me. So even when I used to play basketball, I was that physical player that would want to put in there. So that's how I just pick myself and say, let me give it a try. If it doesn't work, I still always go back to handball. Yeah.
So you made the decision that I'm not going.
I didn't tell Dad that I'm not going. Because within that time also I was called up for college. So I was called in East Africa School of Media. So that was another plus for me. So it was either I go to college. So when I came to college, I did come to play rugby. I came to college. That's the only time that Dad allowed me to come, because it was either come to Ulinzi, I was staying and getting something else to do with school. So I was called up and I got into the media school. So that was a plus for me. I was in Nairobi now, so I had to figure out. The first time I moved out of the hostel, I was going to Mwamba, and then I met Ugot, a former player from KCB. And then he asked me where I was heading to. I told him, there's a friend of mine we used to play for Kisumu Boys, and he's instructed me there's a rugby field, and I'm trying to figure out where. That's Uhuru Park, where that pond is. Yeah, that's where I was maneuvering, walking, just going to Railways Club. So when I met Ugot there, he told me, come and show you where there's a rugby club. Came with Ugot, went to Kencom. That time there's a bus picking rugby players from Kenton. So I got into the bus and ended up in Thika Road. I was staying with my aunt in Thika Road, and say, this is a plus for me, close to where I would be. So when I went to KCB first time, there was a lot of players. The competition was high. People were big. I was like, where? Is this the path I've chosen? So the challenge that I had in KCB, everybody was skilled, and half of the players who were at KCB were in the national team. It was a good environment to learn, first of all, and it was a good challenge for you to be able to grow. If you want to grow, you don't grow with people you are better than.
Yeah.
Grow with better or better than you. So that's how I took up the courage that if I'm able to make it at KCB, I'll be able to make it anywhere. Yeah. That's how I just found myself just putting myself there. Yeah.
So you got into KCB. When was the first time you got a national team call up?
I got into KCB 2005. KCB won the league that time, where the competition was even higher after winning, because everybody at that point was top league. So I was lucky. 2005, Floodlit. Most of all the players were in the national team. So I got an opportunity to play for KCB. That was the first time I put on the jersey to play for KCB. So I played at a Floodlit. So the people who played at center, I played at first center. And then there was Howard played at first center, I played at second. And then there was Richie Kinyan, he played at wing. Richie was fast. So the one thing I noticed, Howard was more of a ball carrier. So the moment he released the ball for us, I just made sure to commit guys and put Richie on space because I knew Richie could finish anytime. So it was a plus for me. I could be able to commit and put Richie in space and he could finish. Commit, put Shivoka in space, Shivoka would finish. So something, this guy can hold the ball and he knows when to pass and when to carry. That was something that I kept on building on. So I kept on being called up. The first time was 2006. I kept on playing for KCB bench starting 2006. I got a call up to go to Kenya Simbas. But unfortunately at Simbas I was called at wing. So that was another hard place because I was fast, though I could feature into wing. I went and played for Kenya, Uganda at wing. I was able to score one of my first try at Uganda. So kept on building myself, wing, center. And then at the time, and then I switched position. I went back to back. I was strong, I was fast, I was physical. They noticed that I was not doing much at center or wing. And one thing that people never noticed, when I started playing for the national team, I was not that top at my skill level. I could struggle with the basic things about rugby because I started very late. Within 2 years, I was already playing for a top club. I was already called up for the national team. So my skills were not the same as the people who played in high school. They could do things that were comfortable, but I could struggle with some of the basic things. So I could struggle, but there are things that I was too good at. They could not understand, but there are things that I could struggle with. The physical things I was okay, but the things, the small details of skills, things that I was struggling with. Yeah.
So how did you build up on your skill level?
So that took
things went by.
So skills that don't come in a day. Those are things that takes time for somebody to build in. So when you missed in a certain skill or you're struggling in such a thing, it takes time. The more you repeat it, the more you do it more over time, the more you give it time, the more you get better at it. So I kept on doing the extras, passing, catching, doing some of the things that I didn't do early. So just to try and catch up with the people who are already playing well. So learning also, because I told you when I got to KSP, there was a big pool of players you could pick up and just get mentors from them and learn their ways about the way they are doing things. So I could learn from a lot of people, got my skills, got some of the things from my mentors. So I kept on learning from a lot. That's how I got myself being there to play. Yeah.
You spoke of a mentor.
Yeah.
What's the power of having a mentor?
So
do you mentor anyone right now?
So I'm a mentor to so many people now. And like when I started, I was looking for those mentors because there's a big gap. You're filling a gap. So a mentor is somebody you look up to. So how do people look up to? Because from where I was new in the sport, and there were guys who were already exposed. They've gone even to the national team, even to different nations to play rugby, the pro rugby. So you could also sit with them, understand what it takes for them to what they did differently to be able to be successful on what they've done. So I learned a lot from so many people, the way they've played, the way they're able to manage themselves, because rugby has a lot of distractions. So how do you block the good things, and how do you let the good things come in, and how do you build yourself when things are not working, and what do you do? So those are things that you can have a mentor to be able to instruct you. When I'm struggling one or two, where do I do How do I not expose myself to the bad things? So there are people who were able to guide me through that, and I say I did well. I've never been found on the other side of the worst things. I've been able to just manage myself to be better. Yeah.
So if we have a young kid right now who's like watching you, looking up to you, you've never met, but silently because of how much you've been of impact, what would you speak to them on some of these things, of distractions that you should not do, or you should do, or areas you should not find yourself, or such things, and how you overcome some of those challenges?
I think the biggest thing for me is just a matter of choices, because there's no way you can divide yourself on doing things. You're either a sportsman, you carry yourself as a sportsman, because there are rules and regulations that you have to follow as a sportsman. Those guidelines of being the thing of a sportsman would never be changed, or cannot be divided to be somebody who does not do sports. So somebody who does not do sport has all the life to do anything. They can smoke, they can be drinking every time. Those are things that are not good for a sportsman. They can be with women every time they feel like. They can be. So those are things that sports teach you not to be able to do. So you're in sports, you're able to balance yourself on how much drinking you take. If smoking helps you or does not help you, because it's been a big debate on people who smoke who don't smoke. So I'm one guy who's been against smoking for a very long time, because there's no benefit in smoking in sports. It just derails you and puts you back. There's a lot that smoking denies a person who smokes and a person who does not smoke. There's a very big difference if you compare the two athletes. So those are the guidelines. You have to it's a matter of choice. You choose either to be a sportsman or to be a lifeist. That's how we call it.
You make a choice.
So
it's all about choices, as Amonde has said here. Just to stress on that point, and make your choices right, you young athlete out there, and you'll get to whichever level. It's limitless on whichever level you can get in, so long as you make your choices right, put in the work, and trust and build a great environment around you to help you grow. So at what point, Amonde, did you get to realize that, man, rugby, I'm hanging on rugby?
I think when I realized that I'm doing rugby now, it was in 2006. In 2006, I was called up at the national team, 15th. The same year, I was called up to 7th. So that's when I realized, I've become a deal now. And remember the coach that I had in Kisumu? When my name was announced that I was going to the national team, he called me and he reminded me, I told you, it won't take you long before you break those walls. So keep working hard. I know you still have a lot to do. Keep working very hard. Don't sit back and say that you haven't achieved anything. Push your limits, see where you'll get yourself. Been pushing myself. I pushed myself at the national team until I got to a limit. I'm saying I'm satisfied when I got to the team. I'm still pushing myself at the club level. I've made big territory. I don't know if anybody will be able to get to where I've gotten the 15th or the club levels. So it's just a matter of just proving that I'm able to push to the next level.
So some of your highlights of leadership is leading Team Kenya. How did you receive that when you were given that responsibility in the Olympics to lead an entire team or an entire nation?
I think being a leader, I was lucky to be in a club, the same club, to be with a lot of leaders. Like you see, Derrick Omano was a captain, Paul Murunga was a captain, Antonio Goto was a captain, Anubaka was a captain, Howard was a captain. So all those captains were in the national team. So you could see how they carry themselves and how they behave, and picking from what they used to do and see how they carry themselves. There's a lot you could pick from them. And that played a very key role on me being a national team captain. So when the call came up that I was going to be coach, I was a little bit hesitant. Because I was that one quiet person who kept a lot of things for himself. So I was not an outspoken guy. There were more outspoken people in the team that if you would pick a captain, you need someone who is outspoken, who could do one or two things. I was the most
Silent.
silent guy in the team. And when I was approached to be the captain, I asked for time because I needed to think about it. It was not something that I was really sure of that I wanted to do, because being a captain calls for a lot of things. You have to be that player that everybody looks up to, and you're able to lead a team, whether things are working or not. So that's your role, and those are things that I didn't see on myself, because it took me I told them to give me a day. 3 days later, the coach came back to me. I already got back to me. I told me I was still thinking. A week later, we already were in camp. So when I told him I'll give it a go at the Safari Sevens. If I don't make it, I'll give you my answer after that. So after Safari Sevens, we were divided into 2 different teams. I was in the Morans, and then there was the other team. So we played. At the end of the day, we got into a finals with very senior players, and then we lost to the Springbok, Imagine Springboks. From that finals in Safari Sevens, I think that is the time I made a decision that I'll take the role of being a captain. Yeah.
What made you make that decision?
I think from the way we played in that tournament. That tournament was the captain at that Moran team. So the way we played and the way the players even the senior players that were in there, who were very senior to me, played and gave me a chance just to be able to lead them into the sport, into the games, as the roles that they allowed me to play my role. I felt very comfortable, and I saw it is something that a challenge that I would also put on myself. If I've been given this opportunity, why would I not deny them the satisfaction of being able to come out and doing it? So I took up the role, and so it's also a learning step for me. Let me see how I'll do as a captain. Yeah.
You've played with many coaches all the way from high school to now.
Yes.
Your best coaches so far?
Man, I don't rate my coaches because every coach in my life has played a different role. From the estate, from me picking him from an estate and putting shoes on my foot, just telling me that you can do well in sport. From high school, picking me and telling me that you're leaving soccer, you're coming to basketball. Played a very different role, and he mentored me on a different path, mental part of it. And then from the coach I met in Kisumu, who from just the look gave me the go-ahead that you will break this wall and make it to the next level. And then from KCB, meeting the first, being a setup of, let me say, a top setup of teams. And then from KCB, the Kenya Sevens, the Kenya 15s.
Yeah.
So I've interacted with coaches. The way I rate my coaches is like, they are like my dad. So they played their role, and they made me the better person I am today, because I was able to have a good understanding between me and them. Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, how was your experience with Mike Friday during his time here?
I think Mike Friday was a challenge once he came in. That time we were still Kenya learning our ways. Mike Friday was the coach who approached me to be the captain. So I think our interaction with Mike Friday was very mutual, and we had that respect to each other. So we could speak a lot about the team. So when he came to me, I was still that guy who kept things for himself, but he exposed me to be that guy who could be able to express himself. Come out and talk to the team, because he kept on telling me when I speak, everybody listened. He kept on pushing that on me. You are the lion. If you leave this park now, this park is dead. So, a lion without a park without a lion, it's a dead park.
Yeah.
So he kept on telling me, you are the lion in this thing. The more you speak, the more they listen. When you do something, they will do. So that's how I got myself, and that's how I've been doing it. Yeah.
So KCB Rugby, tell us about KCB Rugby. You bleed green.
Yes.
You've been consistent with them from the start to now. And how has the walk been with you in the club?
I think from KCB is where I matured as a rugby player. Because Kisumu was just introduction. I played for Kisumu just for 1 year. And then I moved to KCB. So my whole growth and my self-growth came through KCB. So KCB has been that partner that has taken me from the childhood to be the adult that everybody expected me to be. And have made me to be able to shine at the international level, because from KCB is where I learned most of my rugby. And that's where I got exposed to be able to fit into play into the national team. So from KCB, I think I've met a lot of people. I've made a lot of friends. We've won a lot of games, so we've got a lot of understanding like KCB rugby. I think KCB is still here to stay.
Yeah,
we are here to stay over a very long time, and that's where we say winning does not start like today. Winning started a long time ago. There are people who made that base for us to be able to see what KCB is doing now. So the work was done earlier, and we are still doing it. Even if we leave today, KCB will still be a top team. Yeah.
So as an athlete, you've played to the international levels. What's the importance of having a sports agency?
So I think that is something that we're looking when, like we say, we want to grow our sports from amateur level to the pro. So that is something that we have to look at when we want to grow, because most of the talent that we have in this country, we don't have the agents doing some of the things that they are supposed to do, like the transfers. So when we grow our sports and let's be a pro sports, I think we'll be able to tap our talents and expose most of our players to the even international clubs. So that's the big thing about the agency and even locally, we're able to get individuals to be brands, to just get sponsorship, to be brands or something, just to grow an individual, to motivate somebody to be able to do something in life. Yeah.
Tell us about DBA.
Oh, DBA. DBA is an academy. It's a sports agency. And for now, we are really focusing on rugby and lacrosse for the young ones. So we are trying to just to bridge the gap. Remember, I told you, the earlier we're able to start with the kids, the better they will be. They will be better players for the future.
Yeah.
So that is a gap that DBA is trying to approach, just to expose as many as possible. I know there's a lot of academies going on, and it's a good thing. We're not competing as academies. We are just trying to give an opportunity to kids to know the basic skills that are fundamental for them to be able to do sports better in the future. Something that we lacked when we started. I wish somebody started my rugby when I was 2 or when I was 9. I would be somebody else playing rugby now. So it's a breed that we're just trying to expose kids to the basics to be better for the future. Yeah.
How has it been for you interacting with these kids? Do you see, are there kids that you see yourself in?
Yeah, so the good thing about having kids is that you come to learn a lot of characters. So from our academy, even for now, we have identified a few kids who, if well looked after, from now, they're still in primary school and follow up to the high school and to college. They'll be very good rugby players. Because from the skill they have at their age, they will be very good players for the future for this country. And you see the legs, like I said, they're very fortunate that they were able to play at some of the academies, and they were able to travel to London to play at the academy things. So that exposed their rugby, and you can see a very big difference when they're playing at the skill level from the other guys who just picked up rugby in high school and were not that exposed. So that is something we are trying to do for the kids at our academy. Get them to start playing rugby, expose them and even to the international games. Not they just play locally, take them to London, play with the kids of their same age in London, interact, build their understanding of sports. So they'll be good. Yeah.
So what does Amonde do out of rugby?
Out of rugby, I'm a family man. Most of the time I spend in my family. I'm blessed to have a wife and 2 kids. So when I'm not doing anything at academy or at KCB, I'm home with my family, catching up, because during my playing career, my 15 years of rugby, I was never at home.
It was hard for you.
That was the longest time I think my wife went through. Most of the time, even as early as 4, you already left the bed. You're going for training. The following, she'll just be able to see me at night around 9. This is the time I'm coming back from KCB. It was difficult, But we came to appreciate from some of the things that I achieved and the lessons that I've been able to pick. And having an humble wife who was able to support me through my career, it's a plus. So most of the times I'm not in sports, I'm home with them.
You're at home with them.
Yeah.
What advice as a family man would you give to young men athletes when looking for a spouse?
Yeah. But it's important to just pick a person who is your friend, because in marriage, not everything is as rosy as it looks. There are times things will be rough. Your friend, let me tell you, only friends stay together when things are rough. So if you pick somebody you are not that compatible with, you'll have issues. So having to know somebody and being close friends with somebody will carry a day into your marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any businesses out of sports that you run?
Not yet. I've been thinking of doing a few things. But back at home, doing a little bit of farming. I have some dairy farming. I'm doing chicken poultry. So I'm doing eggs and the broilers. So those are a few things that we just do just to keep ourselves busy and to have a little investment going on. Yeah.
As an athlete, what do you think is the importance of an athlete to invest in other things apart from just the sport?
Why? It's very important, not only in sports, but it's in life. It's very important to invest yourself in other things, because you never know what would happen to you tomorrow. So having invested in other things would be able to assist you when you're stuck at one point. So it is important to invest. If you got an opportunity to invest on something, it will be able to carry back when there are things that are blocked somewhere. So I would advise somebody, if you get an opportunity to invest, it is important to invest. People have done it before and have succeeded out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So having traveled a lot to how many countries now?
I've traveled a lot. All continents.
The world.
Yeah.
Which are some of the areas we need to improve in sports in Kenya to be able to be competitive globally?
I think from there's a lot that we still need to improve as a country. If you look at like the welfare of just our players, the way we take care of our players. Like we were talking about, just picking a player at a junior level and following up on some of the things that he does until he gets to an adulthood. So those are the things that I think we've missed as a country. If you're able to do it better, just to have those people who are able to make a follow-up on a kid. We pick to identify a kid, just see him through some of the things, give him guidelines on some of the things to be able to help him in the future. I think we will be getting the top athletes that we are supposed to be getting at the national team. The other big thing that I think should be done, not even I think, this is something that should be done a million times before. Our infrastructures, like our playing field, our stadiums. I think we are the only country with the worst playing surface in this world as an athlete. To all the countries that I have been to, the playing surfaces.
Even within Africa?
I think we are the worst, even in Africa. You go to Namibia, you go to Uganda, we have been into Uganda, Namibia, Morocco, South Africa. You can't compare ourselves to South Africa. We cannot even compare ourselves to a high school in South Africa.
What?
Playing surface.
High school?
No. They are much better playing surface. Even that is now playing surface, even the training surfaces. So you get better as you train on better surfaces and when you go to play. Like I pity our K7 boys. The surfaces they train at and then the surfaces they play at the international level. It's totally different. And this is something that it backs at their performance level. So if you're able just to make that plan, to get that sacrifice and be able to venture and make our infrastructure, the stadiums, the playing surfaces to be the international level, I think we'll be doing justice to all the sports, not only in rugby. You look at the other sports, like I was in the Birmingham games with our hockey girls. If you took them, you saw where they were training at. It was a pathetic ground. So when they got to the Birmingham games, they were put on a new carpeted ground. So that's another adjustment. You're already going to competition, you're still adjusting to the ground. So if you're able just to get those standard playing surfaces, I think it will do better for our sports.
If you had a chance to say to the sports CS, Ababu na Mwamba, what would you tell him in regards to sports development?
I think we've missed to understand that sports also can be used as an employment, something that we have lacked in this country. We have got hundreds of people, talented people coming through sports. We only focus on athletes. You know, if you look at most of our stadiums, it doesn't attract, because the one thing that Kenya has done well on is athletes, because it's individually. So if you can turn on our focus more into these team sports, soccer, cricket, rugby, football, and give them the basic needs that they need. Just the basic need, because I think we've got great talents that if we just get the basic needs to compete at the international level, we would be the best teams in the world. We'd be competing with the best teams in the world, because I've seen us achieve a lot with nothing. If we just have basic things, we would do much better than I think we'd be number one in this continent, because the teams that beat us in this continent on most of the sports, because of infrastructure and some of the exposure that they get. But from our nature of Kenyans, with just basic things, I think we'd be a brilliant nation in sports. Yeah.
So, which are one of your best moments in rugby? So far, your best moment.
Wait.
The one you think of and you laugh, or you just...
There are many. Let me tell you, from being called up to play for KCB, just to get into the national team, those are moments. Getting into the national team, my dad told, handball, rugby, those are moments that I think that I can never forget. My dad would ask me, how did you get into rugby? I thought you were going to handball. That is another topic. Them see me on TV, going out, playing for Kenya Sevens, winning Singapore.
How's Singapore? How did you feel as a captain winning Singapore?
I think Singapore is a reward for hard work that had been laid for many years. I think our prayers were answered that time. That's how we put it, because we tried many times. Many times. We had done everything. Brought Mike Friday, brought Paul True. Did everything. Had those international coaches come in. Tried on sharpening our players. A lot of investment on players. We had KQ. Having that basic environment for the players just to feel how to train in an environment that is more of sport. So when we won Singapore, I say we could have won more, but I think Singapore came at a time that we could say we did it with our local coach. That is something that also you can pick from that. There's a lot that people have not understand about sport. Having a local coach who has been in the same environment plays a very big role, because he has a very good understanding of local players and the environment on which his players are coming from. The basic things that they need to get right to be able to compete. So there's a lot of learning that we got from Singapore. We won Singapore with a local coach, with a team that has been exposed to all kind of international levels. So I think it was a plus for us, and we enjoyed that win. Just hoping for the next team to be able to go out and do better, even better than us. Not win just one, win more than one.
Win more than one.
Yeah.
Springboks.
Yes.
What do you think of them?
So I think
they really stepped up.
But Springbok has been that team that has always been winning.
Yeah.
Because winning is not something that has come easy. They also have done a lot of investment in their team. So, and the pool of kind of players they have, because they expose their players from much earlier age. So a player is trained from a very young age to where they go to, because a player can play for Springbok from 18 years. So for us, from 18 years, it's somebody who's just leaving school. Still has no basic understanding of how they to play. So that's the biggest difference between us and Springbok. So when you see them achieving what they have achieved, it's because of their plan. They have planned for many years, and it has been working for them. So if we're able just to put ourselves back, plan early, expose our young ones early, let them get to a space when they get to 18, they can be able to play at the international level. That's better for us, having a younger player playing at the international level. At 18, I was fast. I wish somebody picked me at 18. I'd be playing at Wing in Kenya Sevens. Yeah. So that is some of the things we have to look at. 18, getting an 18-year-old Kenya Sevens He's able to just give us his best 18 to 25. That's a plus for this country.
Yeah. I missed your international retirement. Was it dinner or gala?
Dinner. Yeah.
How was that night for you?
I think that is something that I'm very grateful from DBA. It's an initiative that has never been done into this country.
Yeah.
It's just a way of appreciating an athlete after he has decided to retire from international level. I think this is something that we are supposed to pick. Like, our management from DBA, they are from European country. So they have that understanding of appreciating somebody after a long time of service. So this is something that we are trying to bring back to Kenya Rugby Union. You've got your players coming into the system. You celebrate them when they come. You celebrate them also when they leave, just to give them a hand of appreciation. Thank you for serving this country. Thank you for serving us. Go well. We wish you well on your next endeavors. And those are the things that we are hoping that Kenya Rugby will be able to learn from.
So what's next? What's next for Andrew?
For me, there's a lot still in my hand. And let me tell you, I'm blessed because I'm a media guy, something that I've not looked even at. The big thing for me now is coaching. I've started my coaching with KCB. I'm lucky I've been employed with KCB now. I've been employed by DBA working at the academy. So the biggest for me now is just to try and mentor young ones and to be able to just see them grow and to see the sport grow. My biggest target next is getting myself into the national coaching level to be able to assist on where I can access in the national teams. With time, I think I'll just get there. So yeah.
On to the quick fire segment, viewers. Your best sports documentary.
Because of basketball, I would still see The Last Dance. Because you see, when you see that movie, you can see the power of a team.
Yeah.
Because people see The Last Dance as Jordan. But, there's no Jordan without the other key players, that they have. So I would be the key person, or something would be about me, but the biggest drive that you can come and learn. The biggest people who play, the biggest are their teammates. So the teammates play a big role, and that is something that I've been using. I would be very bitter with that teammate when they miss to do something, because I know if they don't do it, I will not be able to succeed. If you see a player missing training, and you're very comfortable about it, and when you're pushing your teammates, they're just getting lazy on some of the things, it will come back and bite you. You'll not be able to taste that success because of an individual who was lacking back. So learning how to build a team, learning how to build your teammates to just be one is something that I learned from that and they need.
Yeah. Your best sports athlete?
Because I used to do the 100 and 200 meters. Carl Lewis, I don't know if you remember Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis, yes.
The sprinter who was in the US, the black sprinter. I think from his story and his last life story, you can learn that he was very humble. And when he was picked up in the US when that time there's still that white and black thing. So for me, he's one person who stood up and with a very big mental statement and came out and went out and be an Olympian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And locally or within the continent?
Locally, I would give it to Kipchoge Keino. He's played a very big role to the success that people are seeing in the athlete. So I remember his time. I don't even get the story because my dad told me. This is a story that my dad says. You see the Kipchoge Keino, the senior one, when he used to run the barefoot. From his barefoot came out the fruit of Kenya taking part in athlete. For him going through that Olympic and running barefoot made it something for investors to come back and invest in this country. And it took time, build stadiums in Eldoret to be able to assist the young athletes that were coming out. So he's been able to give back to athletes through his running barefoot to get us investors to come and help our athletes, to get those athletes that we are celebrating now. Without Kipchoge, we could have found out some of that.
Yeah. And we are still striving to get, individual athletes in Kenya get shoe deals.
Yeah. So I think that those are the raw deals that I'm saying that has never been happening to this country. For an international player, I think it should be something that is just common, but getting into an international team, we should be able to have those deals that we got people who are able to get the shoe deals, Nike, because I remember if you go to Olympics, you have that Nike thing.
Right.
Why is it not being put out to clubs? Why is it not being put into all the national teams? Why not only the Olympics time that there's Nike that is supporting it?
Yeah. Best recovery method or best recovery equipment for you?
So maybe my biggest one is ice bath, because over the years, for the last 15 years, my recovery thing has been ice bath. And the easiest one to do is the pool sessions, the morning and the evening pool session. So recovery is also about rest. People have never come to understand. The more you rest, the more you eat well. Your recovery is covered.
It's covered.
Yeah.
Indeed, viewers, it's been a great session here with the heroic Andrew Amonde, and he's already thinking of media. Thank you, Amonde, for being with us. It's a great honor for what you've been able to do for this nation in regards to rugby, in regards to sports, in regards to leadership. And a lot of young men have looked up to you. Some are playing with you already.
Yeah.
and you've been a great mentor to many.
Yeah.
We thank you for your great sacrifice. We thank you for also from Wima Sports, your family who has been able to release you to us or to the world or to Kenya.
Yeah.
It's been a sacrifice on their side as well. And as always, more engagements like this, viewers coming here at Wima Sports, where indeed guests become family at SOYA Lodge, and we are championing sports development. Until next time, viewers, see you.